It's been kind of what a week for about 5 or 6 years for Canopy, right? We were kind of the first really substantial company in the space, and you know, you take each week, but it's been a fairly long build to get to the point where I think we have about 30% market share medical, and it looks like we are allocated almost 40% of the different states or provinces inventory when October 17th happens. So weeks add up, and you end up in a good spot.
With what we've seen this week, I mean, there's a lot of publicity, obviously, but then again, I don't know what, when we've seen moves in a stock, I'm talking about Tilray, obviously, but when we've seen moves like that, it's not always an early cycle move, and it's not always necessarily a positive thing. You think this is the beginning of something really good, or are we starting to see some of the speculation that becomes detrimental to an industry?
Yeah, I think we trade on the New York Stock Exchange. We've traded reasonably normal. I think with that one, if you actually look at what happened, I'm not sure that it's the topic or the structure. And what I mean there is, I think there's a very limited trade available in total number of shares that are on the float for Tilray. Yeah. And I think there were a bunch of people trying to play a game. So if you got 2 million shares as a trade, say, and you trade 20 million a day, that's kind of like 10 handoffs a day on the same stock. That can get pretty weird, and I think it did. And I bet it blew up in a few people's faces that were probably trying to get structured. I suspect you'll see a return to normal. You know, they're a nice business. They have a nice start. I would say their production assets might be somewhere in the neighborhood of 5% of what we grow and produce, and the market share is probably about the same. So I don't think it was about the merits of that company. I think it got technically weird.
We tiptoe around a lot of the issues with pot, and I think a lot of CEOs from companies do as well. We haven't had any CEOs ever admit to using pot for not for a medicinal use. And I was trying to figure.
You should get Elon on your show. You got to get Elon on your show.
Yeah, we'll get Elon on. I don't know whether did he really inhale. I don't know. So with the drinks. And I know a lot of, there's a lot of interest from the big players in alcoholic beverages. Would it be medicinal drinks where you take out the whatever causes the pleasurable high, or will there be drinks that are like pot brownies where you're actually drinking them to get high?
Yeah, so it's actually a good question. You're going to find that there are drinks which will cause you to feel euphoric. It'll cause, THC causes that outcome you described. And there will be drinks that, I expect there will be, there's no certainty in anything, but that those drinks will be permitted for sale, and that they will be what you might buy instead of an alcoholic beverage. But then on the medical side, you're going to see over the next year or two a great number of milestones met, which are going to attract pharmaceutical companies to the space, because the same targeted outcome might be the way we're running a clinical trial right now, targeting dogs and how do we reduce anxiety. If you can reduce anxiety in a medical world, then you can see where they start to crisscross and become part of the recreational world. But Canada's kind of this platform where you can create IP, you can run medical trials, you can file patents without any hesitation, including into the US, if you're following the rules, as we do. And so I think there's an opportunity to create things that don't exist now. And so when I come back each quarter, I bet there'll be new things to talk about because we'll have invented them.
There's no, you can't, the horse isn't going back into the barn at this point, but yeah. I just wonder if we've made the point that you can have a couple of drinks and feel sort of a little bit, happy, but, a little bit
upbeat.
Yeah, a little bit, but with today's strength marijuana, one hit of some marijuana, you don't want to get into a car. I don't know if we've thought about all the implications of how this is going to work.
Well, yeah, no, I think there's a lot of exploring. Right now there's about 30 countries around the world looking to regulate it or regulating it at a federal level, not the U.S. But there's probably $200 billion, $150 billion of cannabis being purchased and consumed. If you think there's nobody driving on the street near your house right now or your business,
but same with Coke, but you wouldn't want to. Same with Coke, but you wouldn't want to legalize Coke.
No, but what you should do is think about cannabis is probably when you look at the profile of addiction and the danger of the outcomes.
Although maybe it's a gateway drug. Believe me, you're preaching. I always say I went to school in Boulder, so I'm familiar with all this stuff, and that was years ago. But I don't know.
I think it's nuanced. It could be called. Yeah, it could be called Gateway. If you buy it from the guy in the puffy coat, he might be selling other stuff too.